Welcome into my queendom. Come one, come all. When it comes to
Okay, story time. Okay, so before I go do anything else, I have a conundrum, and I'm hoping that somebody who, if I decide to post this and watch it, and someone watches it rather, I really hope someone can give me some insight. So, I know it's dark. Sorry about that. I had the situation, and I don't know how to remedy the situation. My youngest sister has 6 children, 2 girls. Her oldest daughter and I'm trying to make this a long story short type of situation, got into an altercation a couple of years ago. She was about 21, smelling herself, and I was at my house, and she had been doing some things. I felt like she owed me an apology. My mom lived with me in the house. She lived in the apartment downstairs, and I told my mother about how I felt, and what she kept doing is she kept bringing my niece over there, and I was like, why would you do that? Like, you know how I feel right now. My mother did 3 separate occasions. She brought my niece to the house. They're sitting in my living room, and I'm like, why? You could actually take her down to your apartment. Don't know why. Fuck it. The 3rd time, I was over it. I was like, look, I saw them sitting there. I walked past. I went up to my bedroom. I sent my mother a text message saying, listen, take her out of the house. Like, I just don't feel like dealing with her or whatever. My mother said that she did not get the text message for an hour and a half. About the same time that I had decided to come downstairs to get something to eat. So I come downstairs, and my mother looks at me because she's just read the text message. So I go over and I look at my mother. I'm like, all right, well, what you gonna do? She's like, well, you do it. Excuse me. Anyone who knows me knows that's not something you say to me. It's not. I told my niece, listen, I want you to go. Da, 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 da. It became a verbal thing going back and forth. My mother was arguing with me on one side. My niece is arguing with me on the other side. Now, I had L-shaped furniture in my living room at the time. So I was standing in the middle of the L, like in the bend of the L. My mother's sitting on one side, my niece is sitting on the other side. And at 21, she was taller than me. So I'm standing there, and my niece stands up off of the sofa, and now she's like right here in my face. And I'm like, okay. So I put my hand up, like, look, you two. She slapped my hand away. When I came to, I was on the couch with my hands wrapped around her throat. And I don't know how I got there. This is a few years ago, actually, this happened. And what snapped me out of it, what brought me back, was I heard her get a bit of air and say, okay, uncle. And that's what snapped me out of it. So my mother, look, get her out of here, like, right now. My mother is still mad at me at this point. And I'm like, this could have been avoided had you listened to me the first time. So it's been a couple of years or whatever. Anytime my niece and I are in the same space, my mother or my sister they have taken on the job of running interference for some reason. And I don't understand it. To me, them continuing the relationship with her the way that they have is acquiescing to her behavior. One, just so that you know what my sister's response was, because she called me, because of course my niece called her and went off or whatever after that altercation, and my sister called me, and I told her what I just told you. And my sister said, oh, so somebody finally did it, huh? But you guys run interference for her, y'all, you know, all acquiesce to whatever it is that she needs, da 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 da. I am sick and tired of having to have a go-between, for one. She's grown. If she got something to say to me, say it to me, is the way that I feel. But I won't be attending anything further that I, like, no family situations with them or anything like that, because now it's infected the brothers and sisters, like one of her older brothers, my nephew, who lives in God knows fucking where, done taking on her attitude and, you know, said some foul things to me through social media. I'm like, y'all are weak. Say it in my motherfucking face if you're gonna say it. One, I don't give a fuck how big you are, because both of them stand about 6 feet tall. I'm not. They got a half a foot on me. I don't give a fuck. So I was actually in the process of writing letters of apology. The reason I was writing letters of apology to my sister's children is because I was their harshest disciplinarian as they were growing up. The older 4, she has 6 children. The older 4, I was their harshest disciplinarian growing up. And after they're grown and I've gotten older and I've done some research and learned some new things, and I realized there were some other choices I could have made. I did what was done to me. Real simple. That's not an excuse, but now I know better. So I was in the process of writing letters of apology to all of her older children. And something happened. One of my cousins asked me to deliver a bag of, you know, something to my niece, because my niece and this particular cousin had their children like a week apart. Their first kids. Both of them had their first kid. My niece had a boy and my cousin had a girl. So she said, you know, would you drop this off to her? So I pull up in front of the house. They're outside. My mother, my sister, my niece, and a couple of the other kids. I forget whom else. So I call my niece's name from the car. She ignores me. My sister comes over to the car. Now I want to get out and smack the shit out of you, because I am doing this for you. I didn't have to. I should have threw the shit in the trash. I don't have to. These ain't my motherfucking kids. I don't have to deal with you on any level. And you have the right to feel however the fuck it is you would like to feel. What they don't know that I do understand is anytime she and I are in the same space, her whole disposition changes, her face changes. It's a whole thing. What she doesn't understand is that is going to develop into some disease or malady in her body at some point. Because you can't keep releasing stress hormones into your system and not expect to get sick from it. Your body isn't meant to handle stress hormones at that level. So I don't want to cause her any more stress than she fucking needs. Bitch, live. Please. Please, go, live. Good luck. You know? So that's, like I said, I was in the middle of writing the letters of apology, and now I fucking don't feel like it. Is the bottom line. Should I finish writing these letters of apology? And the reason I wanted to write the letters of apology is because that's something that my parents don't really do well. They don't. My mother or my father don't know how to apologize for now. Not that I had a horrible childhood, but my parents they were human. They had flaws. So when I tell them things that happened during, you know, us growing up, the way that they react to me is so, like, they take it personal that I took their behavior. I was a kid. You were teaching me things that I either didn't need to know or were incorrect. You never corrected it. You don't say, I apologize. Like, it's that whole thing. So I'm like, all right, let me at least give the next generation that. If that is what they need to go on and feel better, let me do that. You know, that's not a hard thing for me to do. It has become a hard thing for me to do. Now, I don't feel like I should, because first of all, I don't understand where the fuck I'm wrong with the niece in particular. Now, all the other stuff, like, they got spankings growing up. Listen, they got spankings, they got all sorts of punishments, writing exercises, exercises, all sorts of things. after my niece's behavior, I don't feel like I owe her an apology. I feel like my mother should apologize, first of all, for not listening to me, and then putting it on me to do when she's the one who brought her to the house, and then not taking her down to her apartment. I feel like I'm owed the apology because it should have never happened. If you had listened, if Woody had gone straight to the fucking police, this would never have happened. Like, that's the part that I don't get. Why is it that, and I'm sitting here like trying to do better. I'm working at doing better. I want to do something different so that they don't have the same. Look, you're going to have pain in this life. You don't have to have the same pain I had. Real simple. So, y'all let me know if I should write this letter of apology. And if you say if enough people give me a good reason, not if you say I should, if somebody can give me a good reason, I will. Okay, so I'm just venting right now because I don't be understanding, no matter how short a time period I am in my mother's presence, it always ends up in something emotional and supercharged because we just do not think the same. And her entire conversation is work and family. I'm so tired of hearing about work and family. What are your ideas about some other stuff? And actually, I don't even want to go into all that. We get into this conversation, and I'm trying to understand, like, okay, so I grew up with people who make excuses for everybody. Everybody's behavior. I grew up with a stepmother who made excuses for my father's behavior. I grew up with a sister who made excuses for her husband's behavior, excuses for my brother's behavior, excuses for the men's behavior in their lives. And I'm trying to understand why. Why? As much as black women complain about black men, why is it so difficult for you to make black men take responsibility? Like, I have this thing in my head, when there is somebody who does not jibe well with the way that my life is going, I don't need them in my life. I don't care if you're family. That doesn't move me that you're related to me. What moves me is my peace. If you can't contribute to that in some shape, form, or fashion, or the other part, and this is what I think got the whole thing popping today. So we were talking about, oh God, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Because if this ever is on the internet, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, fuck it. So we're here. So I have an aunt. And this particular aunt had a daughter that passed away, my cousin. Me and this cousin were very close, very, very close. We got high together. We did everything. We commiserated over the fact that we're middle children. It was a party always with me, she and I. So this particular cousin passed away some years ago. My aunt's boyfriends was doing nefarious things. I can't say exactly what they were. I know there were nefarious things being done. My cousin would tell her mother would make excuses like it was my cousin's fault. We're talking about somebody who's like 12. She made excuses and said it was her child's fault that her grown-ass boyfriend was trying to touch her. Now, this ain't my story. Usually if it ain't my story, I ain't gonna tell it. But here's how I got into this story, is because I have a memory of being 5 years old and hearing my cousin scream to her mother that this man was watching them while she was trying to get dressed. And her mother did nothing. I've been around people in particular, and if you watch my podcast, it's not that I'm down on black women always. The majority of the people I'm around are black women. So that's who most of my experiences have been with. And they aren't stupid women. They aren't uneducated women or anything. They're just women who had a certain life. This is what their life was for whatever reason. And it's, so when my mom has this, well, that's her sister. So she still talks to her. And I say, well, did it ever occur to you to just not speak to her anymore? Because she doesn't know what it is to raise this particular daughter. Because my cousin went to my mother at some point. This is way back when. Went to my mother and told her what was happening. And my mother spoke to my aunt about it and listened to my aunt justify her actions and again blame her daughter and say it was her daughter's fault. Why is it never our option to stop speaking to these family members who do these things? See, because the conversation started, I made a comment, and yeah, I was generalizing. I was. And I apologize for what I'm about to say in advance. But I was saying there was a white man on TV, and he had the whole mountain man beard thing happening. And I looked at him, and I was like, yo, terrorist. And she was like, who? I was like, white men. They're terrorists. But I was, generalizing. I do think there's a certain segment of the white male population that is just prone to terrorism and terrorists. You pick up any statistics, the last school shooting, who did it? I rest my case. So, I asked the question like then, all the white, she said, well, there were some good white people. I said, let me ask you this question, mother. The conversation that these white people have with their relatives who have the ideations that we are monkeys and all the rest of that type of stuff, what do you think those conversations are like with those family members? They still talk to them. Just like you still talk to your sister after you found out she allowed her boyfriends to do whatever to her daughter. Plural. Maybe. We still talk to these people after this. This behavior gets perpetuated because, and as a kid, there was I'm not even doing that yet. What I'm gonna say is we got to do better. We have to do better. We don't have to make excuses for people. We have to hold them responsible. If you hold people responsible initially, maybe the behavior won't get out of control. It won't get to the point where there are so many victims. It won't get to the point where there are, 15 people coming forward 30 years later talking about this because somebody knew that it was happening in the beginning. And they just didn't say anything. We won't be honest. We don't want to ruin relationships. We don't want to cause problems. We don't want to be the one to say it. We don't want to say the quiet part out loud. We're the ones missing the opportunity and perpetuating all of this hurt in our own families, in our own communities. We are the ones perpetuating it because we refuse to take a stand and just say, look, I'm not doing this with you. I'm not doing it. It's not something that I condone. And unless your behavior and ideas change, I really don't want to be bothered. One thing I love about this new generation, a lot of the stuff that I see and I'm reading online and hearing online, a lot of these kids like, yeah, I'm going to go no contact. That was not a concept when I was little. When I was these kids' age, going no contact with who? My family? I don't even know what you're talking about, sir. It's not but we have to entertain that. Just because somebody is related to you does not mean that they need to be in your life and influencing the things that happen around you. That is always going to be an influence. I don't care how you keep your distance. If you keep interacting, it's an influence. And if you don't think enough of future generations to do better, please don't have kids. It takes effort. Y'all just out here having kids and making them into these crazy motherfuckers that's going wild and all the rest of these shit. Y'all don't check out the motherfucker that you having kids with, and now they crazy, and now you mad, and now you turn crazy because they were crazy, and now it's a whole thing, and you got the kid involved. It doesn't need to happen. There's something my mother says that is the truth. It is the simplest truth that I have heard. You can have the pleasure without having the pain. There are plenty of ways to enjoy the joys of intercourse, and however it is you would like to enjoy it without creating other people. You can enjoy it recreationally if you wish, without creating other people who have to then deal with the fact that you aren't even a grown-up yet. You're barely an adult. Not grown yourself. Have zero world experience. Except the things that happened in your neighborhood. And you want to raise a cultivated human being that is going to be successful and prosperous. Out of what? An apple tree will not grow an orange. You have to be an orange to grow an orange. You have to be an orange tree, rather, to grow an orange. You cannot expect something different if you've done nothing different. Another simple truth I've heard is if nothing changes, nothing changes. We want all this wonderful, great stuff to happen to us and we do zero work. You want your kids to be these spectacular people and you don't pour into them, you ignore them, you give them electronic devices to hold. You give them, go outside and play, or go play in your room, or go play with your game, go do your homework. Yeah. But you expect to cultivate a human being that is going to be loving and caring and cultivate joy in the world and be a master thinker and a master planner. You think all that's going to happen and you don't pour into your kids. Y'all are worse than dreamers. You're delusional. You're fucking delusional. So, again, if I decide to put this up on the internet, because I don't know yet, I'm working to get out what it is I need to say in the moment so that it is fresh. And I'm also practicing trying to do this on camera. And one of my greatest fears is always that I'm going to overshare. And I don't know if that is this time. But, I'm not afraid to say that I have done monstrous things. Things that people might consider me a monster. And should somebody ever need to ask me about those things, or the people I perpetrated whatever against, should ever feel the need to come, you can come, because I will take responsibility. More than that, I will take accountability, and if you need context, I will offer you that. That is what I have. I have the truth of my circumstances. I understand, and I am not saying that people should be punished for way, way back. What I'm saying is that we have a now. We have a right now. And in that right now, if we have to identify people who we no longer need to contact, to be in human contact with, so that we can grow and so that they can understand that people do not tolerate this behavior. See, we're always talking about a boycott of this system and that system. And sometimes you have to get down to the nitty gritty. You have to start boycotting the people within the system in order to get anywhere. They have to understand that this is intolerable. You can't tell Uncle Billy that he can say the N-word and then go have dinner at his house, knowing that he might not say it around you, but when he gets with his good old boys, it's gonna happen, and worse. We can't pretend that we don't know anymore. This is the age of truth. We have to speak the truth now. It's incumbent upon us. And if we don't, we are doing a disservice to every generation. We are slowing down progress by just not telling the truth. By just not telling the truth, not speaking our truth, hinders us from growth. So I hope that we as a community, a world community, but however, if you hear my voice, whatever that community is, if you can begin to identify things that need to go. Don't be afraid. And this is the other thing. I'm saying this is the last part, I guess. And this is where I have a problem talking with a lot of people. But I understand that our society cultivates this in us. They cultivate fear. It is your job to get the fear out of your head. Very simple. It is your job to understand that bad things aren't lurking around every corner. Since I have been in grade school, people have warned me about gunshots. I live in the inner city. I've heard plenty of gunshots. I am really, really grateful that I have not had one whiz by me, hit me, or anything like that. I'm so grateful. That's not a flex. What I'm saying is, if you can't always live in fear. There are a whole bunch of things that people are looking for to happen all the time that have a really slim chance of happening. And I think that's when I had to leave the house, because I was like, I can't listen to it. It's not something that I enjoy listening to. When people have fears that they just, have to, well, what if this happened? Well, what if that? I don't live trying to figure that out. And yes, I was raised in a whole family of people who do that all the time. What if this happened? What if that happened? You should have kids. What if something happened to you? Who gonna take care of you? I don't know. How about I just don't think about that for a while and try and live in a way that, my health is pretty good, so the chance of that happening is slim. That's my alternative. We don't understand simple biology. Let me turn this blinker off real quick. Simple biology, every thought that you have has a chemical reaction. There's a chemical release for happy. There's a chemical release for sad. There's a chemical exchange throughout your body that signals emotion. So if you are constantly thinking of fear, thinking of things that happen that you are fearful of, you are constantly sending chemicals in your body that address fear. Your body is not capable of withstanding that load of emotion, that concentration over a long period of time. It will break down your body. And that's where some illnesses come from. You can check out anything I'm saying. I encourage everybody to please research anything you ever hear me say. And if I'm wrong, come back and tell me I'm wrong. Please give me the right with proof. We do proof over here. That's the one thing we do. We do truth and proof. So yeah, I think it doesn't behoove our community to always think in fear. Danger is a real thing. I understand that there is danger in the world. I'm not oblivious to that. I made it to this entire age of 50. I had to know something. But I do understand that I can't stay in that feeling of fear all the time. I was raised that way. My mother thinks you should always be cautionary. And what if this happens? I can't prepare for every eventuality. No one can. Our minds are not made to, actually. Our mind is made to deal with what is happening now. It is not meant to project the future. How something is going to unfold in your life is actually, I've come to understand that it's actually none of my business. It might sound stupid to you that I'm saying that, but actually the way, if you have a focus, if you have a goal and you need to get to that goal, there are myriad of ways that it could unfold. The best way, if you allow it, will be the way that unfolds for you if you are not trying to make it unfold the way you think it should unfold. But our minds are not made to project the future. Otherwise, we would be experts at it and avoid all of the drama and tragedy that we experience and have experienced in the world. Knowing that you can't predict the future, you can only deal with the now. Stay in the now. Stay with what's true now. With what is true now is I feel good. I feel great. I'm looking forward to so many good things in my life. Like, that's what's true. I don't have time to sit and deal with, well, what if this bad thing happened? Why would I do that? That is disturbing my own peace. Then who am I gonna be mad at? Me. So on top of disturbing my own peace with these weird ass negative thoughts, and then I'm gonna be mad at me for doing it, that's doubling down on the negative. On all the negative chemical reactions and exchanges that are taking place in my body and in my brain, I'm doubling down on it. No. A more positive mindset. We talk about that and we say it like it's a fad. We say it like, it's a buzzword. You got to think positive. You do have to think positive. You better. All that fear and stuff, your fight or flight response system is always on go. You can't live like that. That's why when black men are talking to black women and we think that you all are being aggressive or assertive, no, you have practiced your fight or flight response for so fucking long that now everything that comes out of you is urgent and emergent. It always looks like you're arguing. It always looks like you've got a problem. It always looks like you're angry because that's what you have practiced. Come on. It's not as hard as we making it. It's not as hard as we making it. We can keep it real simple. Keep your thoughts positive. Keep your thoughts in the direction that you would like to go. Keep them solely on yourself. Other people's reactions to you and anything else is about them. It has nothing to do with you. We should teach that to kids when they're little. Other people doing stuff, it's not about you. We raise these narcissistic kids. Everything that happens is that you're triggering my kid. Oh, that's triggering it. No, not triggering that. And these are my experiences. It's not about you. I don't even understand that whole, well, you triggered me bullshit. The fuck? Grow up. Get a personality. Like, where the fuck do you get off saying that something that I went through and I'm talking about is affecting you? You need therapy. Not me. I think I've gotten enough out. I think I have. I have so much to do in the next few days. It's just amazing. But yeah, come on. Let's begin to tell the truth. We can tell the truth. We can take responsibility. It's not as bad. If we do it now, it will hurt less. Do it now, it'll hurt less.